Hi there, this is CJ Miller. I'm in Shreveport, Louisiana, and I'm here with one of the most flavorful and one of the most simple uh, all in one skillet dishes I've ever made. Four ingredients, okay? Um, Chicken breast, boneless, skinless chicken breast, chuck steak, um, water chestnuts sliced in a can with the juice from the can, and then, well, I've talked about this product before. It's tiger sauce. And I have used probably about 2 tablespoons of the tiger sauce. Now, if you can get this, great. If you can't get it, it's basically red pepper, a little bit of sugar, a little bit of vinegar. Uh, those are the main flavors. And if you couldn't get this, and what else? Maybe there's a touch of uh, let's see, let me check the ingredients on it. Well, obviously it's some salt, but there's going to be salt in your water chestnuts too. Okay, so the ingredients: cayenne pepper, sugar, distilled vinegar, uh, water, salt, crushed red peppers, uh, some xanthan gum. That's basically for you know uh, keeping everything fresh and together. Chili peppers, some caramel color, uh, some sodium uh, benzoate benzoate. It's basically a touch of bicarbonate of soda or whatever, but it's a little bit of corn protein to add a little bit of a. It's if you wanted to recreate this and you didn't have the tiger sauce, you could use. There's two ways to do it. You could do a blend of cayenne peppers, uh, uh, diced, or crushed or powdered, uh, or just chopped up, or you could do that and then mix, to taste, to balance some sugar. Uh, White sugar would be great. You could use brown sugar or anything like that. Honey, if you didn't have the sugar. Um, and then you would add a little bit of vinegar for a little bit of a twang. Now, the second way you could do this is, well, that's the second way you could do it. The first way would be the tiger sauce, but to recreate it is what I just gave you: the peppers, the vinegar, and the sugar yourself, and to blend it. And if you didn't have that on hand, but you did have some orange flavoring, either some orange juice or some oranges, you actually could put in the cayenne pepper and then the orange and then the vinegar from the citrus would give you the twang. Plus, you would have a little bit of, uh, you know, that would give you the vinegary twist, but you'd also have the sweetness of the citrus. And if that wasn't quite enough, you could put in just a drop or two of balsamic vinegar or white vinegar. But really, if you went this third method with the citric, you probably don't necessarily need that for this particular skillet. It's all a matter of going by flavor, and the flavor here is created mostly by chemistry, by melding of flavors, especially when it comes to blending the pepper and the sugar and the vinegar. That's really kind of the star of the show. Well, not really. Not really, because what really soaks up, all these things are porous and they soak up the flavors. What gives this wonderful, wonderful little production, and what really is the headliner, would be these water chestnuts. They don't know it. This would be like if you were doing a stage production and you're thinking, oh my God, tiger, and we're going to do like some sort of Asian flavored skillet, or maybe even a Cajun-y flavored skillet, but you got these little babies, the water chestnut babies, and you think they're just going to be like a side player in your production. But they come on and they chew up the scenery, and they are powerhouse, and they're probably they're the best performer in your stage production. That's what a water chestnut is. It is flavorful. It is texture with crunch, but when you do it, what I've done here is taken all these four ingredients. I put them in the skillet. First, I browned the meat, of course. Uh, just a touch of oil in the bottom of this non-stick skillet. Uh, it's a really good skillet. It's a Rachel Ray skillet. Um, but it's basically it's a fancy Teflon coating skillet, and so you want to cook on uh, medium to low medium heat. You don't really ever want to go above that with the Teflon because Teflon uh, will not withstand high heat for very long. Uh, what We'll get into the cookware in a minute, but what I want to do is I love this. It's like everything here is really porous and pulls in flavor, and even though this is a 4 ingredient recipe, it's very flexible. You could easily add in some onion. You could use onion for garnish, like chopped onion or something like that. You could serve this over rice. You could serve this over uh, whipped or mashed potatoes. Maybe that's been you reserved a little bit of the water chestnut before you did the dish, so that you could actually put the water chestnut in and cook it with the potatoes, and so therefore you can create sort of a puree with a little bit of that water chestnut flavor uh, blending in with the mashed potatoes that you're going to put this over. Oh, that would be so delicious and good. But I'm ketoing, uh, and so I want to stay, do really, really well. I've been keto dieting, I should say, uh, since, oh, I know, since, mm, I want to say since last Wednesday, and it's Tuesday a week later, so at least a week. I've been very strictly uh, keto monitoring my intake of carbs and foods. And the reason why is because, I have a holiday coming up Saturday. So, uh, and honestly, I say that, but really it's going to start uh, Friday when I start cooking. I'll be spending more time in the kitchen sampling things. And so I have about uh, 2.5 more days of keto. Uh, but it's surprising the amount of food when you're making good choices. You could eat a lot of food, um, and so one of the things about water chestnuts is that they're actually not nuts; they're a vegetable, and that's grown underwater. Uh, I like them. There's something else. There is something else. I don't remember if I already talked about this, but I will. The steak, uh, the chuck steak. Well, in American steakhouses that go by the American measure of cuts of meat definitions, you have the porterhouse, and so you have like the porterhouse on the top of it. You get the fillet, and then you have the strip, and then on the opposite side, uh, you got usually uh, about 50% of the makeup of that porterhouse is a sirloin, and it is a good cut. It's a good medium textured. It's not as tender as the fillet, but it's really good. And then so you can have that in a restaurant. But then if you're in a restaurant that's stateside, and yeah, maybe it's kind of a moderate range and not a high end steakhouse, you might end up being given a sirloin that is actually a chuck. It's actually cut from the chuck, which is kind of like the back end uh, behind the traditional European cut of a sirloin. So when you want to talk beef, you really want them to know that you know what you're talking about. Know your cuts of beef and know where it's coming from, because um, the reason why it matters in a dish like this is because the chuck beef has a stronger beef flavor even than the European uh, or the traditional sirloin cut that comes from the side of the T-bone within the porterhouse. And so it's got a stronger flavor, so it's appropriate for stews. And it's great. It's got powerful flavor, and that flavor goes really, really great, say with the sauce, like the tiger sauce that I'm using, and it really gets absorbed into these other uh, flavors, and they marry really, really well, the same way that a good chicken broth will do that's rendered off of this. So this is great. You could roll this up in tortillas. You could do all sorts of stuff, but I'm just gonna have it just like this. You know, uh, yeah, you could throw some snow peas in here. I don't know. If you were going to do anything like garlic, what you would want to do is you want to wait until it got to almost the finishing of the steeping, and then you would put your garlic in only at the last, because garlic will actually work against this. What we're loving here is a good twang between the sweetness of the sugar and the vinegar balancing out against that red pepper. And we got a good marriage going on there. And what would happen is that if you overcooked garlic, if you added it too soon, the garlic would become a little bit bitter, and it would be the flavor would be as an interloper within a wonderful, happy family, but that garlic would come in and break it up. So uh, you don't want to introduce the garlic too soon. If you do any garlic, as say maybe a fifth ingredient or something like this, uh, you want to wait. Uh, you know, sesame seed too. You want to wait. Anything like this, you kind of want to get it to this part and then add, and then maybe do it a little more. Don't cook a garlic. Don't roast a garlic too long. It will turn bitter. Sometimes you want that bitterness, that powerhouse garlic, and sometimes you don't. Sometimes you just want the essence of garlic the way that you would know it without it turning. And in that case, maybe you just use a sprinkle a little garlic powder or something. I don't know. This actually, these four ingredients, it has enough flavor that I don't have to do anything else to it. And I'm really going to be able to enjoy it for my meal tonight. And I'll have a little bit for lunch tomorrow. And with that, I'm going to sign off. As always, love and light. Happy holidays. God bless.